With the Grey Knights Codex just round the corner, it seems we're getting a sneak peek at the Strike Squad datasheet with some absolutely enormous buffs to the stat line and their weapon profiles. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, the strategy focused 40k channel, where today we're talking Grey Knights, and specifically a Grey Knight Strike Squad datasheet that's come out in some packaging alongside the new updated boxes for when they redo the codexes. Going with the current trend of 9th edition, generally the stat lines are bigger, better and more impressive, and in general for Grey Knights that's not really going to be a bad thing. They're really struggling right now competitively, so some really solid improvements here are just not going to do much to harm game balance. In any case, let's take a look at what we've got and talk through the various changes. So in the leaks we have the profiles for the new Strike Squads and the various variants you can build from the same kit, the Purifiers, Purgation Squads or Inceptor Squads. All basically the same models, but just with some variation on their war gear. We know in the new codex that the points cost for the Strike Squad will be 22 points, that is the new value from chapter approved, and it's up a couple of points from the old one, they used to cost 20. It now seems that the vast majority of war gear on the squad is free. The only ones that you have to pay points for are the Nemesis Demon Hammer at 10 points and the Side Cannon at 5. Previously you had to pay a little bit for the Silencer and quite a lot for the Incinerator, but both of those are free, as are those Nemesis Falchions, one of their melee weapon options. The same goes for their different variants, those are the only two bits of war gear that you pay for. As is expected for a Space Marine update, they have gained an extra wound. The standard Space Marines will now have 2 wounds rather than 1, but they've also got a serious buff to their melee power on the datasheet too. Their attacks have gone all the way up to 3. An extra wound and 2 extra attacks on the datasheet for just 2 points is an excellent buff. There's pretty much no question that the Grey Knights are going to be stronger after this update. I do strongly suspect that it's going to be similar to the Death Guard though. Death Guard lost their Hateful Assault special rule, and I strongly suspect that this bump in attacks will mean the death of the Shock Assault rule for Grey Knights. I think instead of seeing that, we're just going to see extra attacks on the models across the board. That will be a small buff anyway, as it wouldn't be conditional on you charging or having been charged. It really does feel quite nice though. They're basically going to a more veteran Space Marine kind of stat line. I did find the Grey Knights to be just a bit underwhelming in combat. They're supposed to be veterans and the best of the best, yet they only hit with a single attack like Tactical Marines. It's going to be pretty cool to see them hitting with some significant power. Next up, moving on to their weapons, and I will bear in mind that we don't know any special rules of these yet, we just know their points cost and their raw stat line. Currently the Side Cannons and the Silencers don't have any innate special rules of their own, but they do have some synergies within the Codex. Some stratagems and the Tides of the Warp can both help them, so as Psi weapons it might well be possible to buff them up significantly stronger than they are here. First up, the now free Incinerator is largely unchanged, still strength 6, AP-1 and damage 1, and it gains 12-inch range from 8 inches, bringing it into line with most Flamer weapons. I'm glad they chose to drop the points on that. At 12 points it was ludicrously overcosted and really not worth it at all compared with just taking more Storm Bolters. Now however, if you've got a special weapon slot free and you're not going to be taking anything else, it seems to be pretty much an auto-include now for the low price of free. Getting D6 automatic strength 6 and AP-1 hits on a nearby target seems like you want to trade that out for the Storm Bolter every time. I don't think that the extra couple of shots at 24-inch range are going to be worth it in comparison. I guess in theory you could spam 4 of these with a Purgation Squad, and that does sound like some pretty hefty Flamer threat, with 4d6 strength 6 hits for just 110 points. Again, if we do find some significant ways to buff them, that could be very nice. Next up we come to the Silencer, which again is also free. You only used to pay 2 points for it before, so that's not really all the biggest change to be honest, but the stat line on this has been tweaked a bit. It's still a heavy 6 weapon at 24-inch range, but now instead of being AP0 it's AP-1, and instead of being damage D3 it's now damage 1. I'd say this is maybe a bit more of a side grade than an upgrade. The extra AP will certainly help you out quite a lot against heavily armoured foes, but losing damage D3 means that it's now going to be mainly focused on killing light infantry. Basically decently better against anything that was 1 wound, a bit worse against anything that's multi-wound. Either way, again, if you didn't want to have the Incinerator, this does seem like an auto-include over a regular Storm Bolter. You're still going to be averaging 3 hits at 24 inches and AP-1, and that's better than a Storm Bolter will do even at 12-inch range. It might be interesting to see what people prefer out of the Incinerator and the Silencer. I guess it depends on whether or not you're planning on getting within 12-inch range. Next up we have the Psy Cannon. This one still costs 5 points, so down from 7, so 2 points cheaper. It's lost a shot, it's heavy 3 at 24 inches rather than heavy 4, strength 7 AP -1, and now damage 2 rather than damage 1. I quite like the change on the Psy Cannon, to be honest. It makes them a bit more general purpose all-round weapons, and a bit less incidental fire that you can just brush off with heavy vehicles and things. It's basically an extra 50% damage increase against anything that's multi-wound, a bit worse against killing 1-wound infantry. Again for 5 points, it seems like a great deal on top of the regular Stormbolter. It's interesting that basically every strike squad will want to take a special weapon now, it's just a question of which one. Moving on, we come to the melee weapons, and again the profile of every single one of these has changed. The Demon Hammer's been nerfed a touch, it drops to AP -2, the same as regular Thunder Hammers, though with that it still might not be that necessary an upgrade, now all the rest of the weapons just hit a little bit harder. The Falchions that used to cost an extra 2 points now are free. Their strength user AP -2 and damage 1, and presumably will still give you at least 1 extra attack. If it is just the 1 attack extra, I don't really see them being taken all that much. I'd much rather have the swords or the halbards, due to them still getting multi-damage. Talking of which, the halbards are essentially damage 2 power axes now, strength +2, AP -2 and damage 2, and the Nemesis Force swords get the +1 AP, AP -3 and flat damage 2. I think generally I'd prefer to have the AP -3 over the strength 6 rather than strength 5, though it does depend a little bit on what you're fighting. If you're going into anything that's toughness 5 or toughness 6, you will feel the difference. Finally, the Nemesis Warding Stave has gained a pip of strength. It's now strength +3, AP -1 and damage 2, so a nice strength 7 on your Grey Knight there, and hopefully it's still got the extra 5+ invul save in melee. It might make things a bit neater for everything to go to damage 2 rather than damage D3. There are pros and cons to that trade-off. It means they're really good at killing things like other Space Marines, but against 3 wound models and anything with -1 damage, generally the damage D3 would have been stronger. A fairly even balance though, nothing too much gained or lost there. Overall though, enormous buffs on the Strike Marines. Good to see Grey Knights getting a new lease of life. I'm sure we'll be seeing some teleporting silver power armoured Marines coming in the near future. I'll certainly be looking forward to reviewing the Grey Knight Codex myself. I'll try and get a full review done just as soon as it's out. Let me know what you think of the rules, and feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics if you'd like to see more. If we do get any other leaks for the Grey Knights or the Thousand Suns, I'll most certainly be covering them on the channel. Finally, if you have been enjoying my videos a fair bit, I would just like to mention that the channel has a Patreon page, and you can find it down in the video description below. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next for the channel, and automatic entry to the regular prize giveaways with the chance to win some really big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, then the link is down in the video description below. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.